Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. You are attending the YHUHderek channel. My name is Ayana, and I'll be your facilitator today. And today we are going to enter into part 3 of examining the moon, which should be considered a part of the Understanding Genesis chapter 1 series. So let us get started. But first, as always, I would love to thank you all for your support, for watching these videos, engaging in comments and questions, sending me emails. I want to thank you so very much for that. And I would humbly ask that if you are appreciative of the videos and you get good information as it pertains to scripture, that you think about supporting the channel. I have two avenues for donations. The first one is PayPal, and you can use the email address YHUHderek@mail.com. And then the second avenue is through CashApp, and you can look up YHUHderek by putting the $ in front of YHUHderek. So thank you very much, and let's get started. All right, so we went through the first two parts of examining the moon and the different applications. This part, we're going to identify when moon deification took place inside and outside of Yasharal and in ancient times and in modern day. So, moon idolatry on a national level. Who is responsible for leading ancient Yasharal astray? Here is a quote that I'd like to begin every section. There was one in the last section of what Yahweh says about worshiping the moon. This comes from Yirmiyahu, which is Jeremiah 8, verses 1 and 2, and I'll just read the highlighted part. And they shall spread them before the sun and the moon and all the hosts of heaven, whom they have loved, whom they have served, and after whom they have walked, and whom they have sought, and whom they have worshipped. So Yahuwah here he's talking about the kings of Yehuda. He's talking about laying their bodies, their bones out, and not get properly buried. And he's saying that lay them out, before everything that they worshipped, the sun, the moon, and all the hosts of heaven. And this is a punishment. And, at the end it says, they shall not be gathered. The bones of the king shall not be gathered or buried. They shall be for dung on the face of the earth. So Yahweh is pretty much saying that they will not get a proper burial. Their bones will be desecrated because they have worshipped the sun and the moon and all the hosts of heaven, meaning the stars and the constellations, otherwise known as the zodiac. So, King Solomon instituted national idolatry. 1 Kings 11, 1 through 8. But King Shalama, which is Solomon, loved many strange women together with the daughter of Pharaoh, the women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites. Of the nations which Yahweh said to the children of Yasharal, you shall not go into them, neither shall they come unto you. Surely they will turn away your heart towards other gods. Shalama cleaved to these women in love. So, Yahweh told Yasharal in general, do not mingle amongst the foreigners, amongst the heathens, because they will turn your heart away from Yahweh unto other deities. And Shalama went directly opposite of what Yahweh commanded, and he loved the women of the foreigners. All right. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass, when Shalama was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, that his heart was not perfect with Yahweh, his Elohim, as was the heart of Daud, his father. And Shalama went after, all these deities. which didn't fully go after Yahuwah as Daud his father. And Shalama built a high place for the abomination of Moab in the hill that is before Yasharal, right? And for the abomination of the children of Amnon. So pretty much he built worship altars. Okay, high places are places of worship, places of sacrifice, places of prayer. And you had to pass through these idolatrous altars to even get to Jerusalem, right? So you couldn't even bypass these things. You had to go through these things in the smoke given up to, false deities and ceremonies. You had to ride past that to even get into Yasharal, which is not even what Yahuwah wanted, right? So this is, Yasharal has always, fallen past. I mean, Yasharal has always worshipped false deities, but Shalama made it okay because he was the king at the time. Let's look here. Possible sun moon idol. Some things that I found here with the help of Yahuwah. 1 Kings 6:38. And in the 11th year, in the Bull month, which is the 8th month, was the house finished throughout all its parts, and according to all the fashion of it. So he was 7 years in building it. All right, so Bull month. In Yahudyeth, it would be Yarak Bull, which would be Bull moon. All right. But it's also called the 8th month. And there was just something about this particular verse that kept sticking out to me as I was doing my research. Because, as you know, there are not many other months that have an official name. There's only 3 other months that have an official name. But this one, it just really kind of, Yahweh was kind of like, keep looking, keep researching. So, down below here, Bull, which is H945, it means rain, month of rain, showers, either from October to November or November to December. From the root Yabal or Yabul, H2981 or H2986, produce of the earth, and it means to flow. So they're saying that the word bull comes from the word Yabul, meaning rain. But for me, the first thing that was suspicious is that this verse has the month having 2 names, Bull and 8th month. And upon closer inspection, Bull month is actually the word moon, Yarak, Bull. So when you look up the Yahudyeth, to make this clear, when you look up the verse in Yahudyeth or in Hebrew, the word for month doesn't say Kadesh, right? The word for moon in this verse is Yarak. So it's not even saying bull month, it's saying bull moon. Yarak bull. Next, it's supposed that the word bull is for the word Yabul, Yabal or Yabul, meaning to flow, as in rain or produce of the earth. The problem with this explanation is that it completely excludes the word Yarak. And this is done on purpose to mislead the reader. Yarak Bull is the possible name of 1 or 2 false idols or deities. And here are the possible deities. All right, the first is the moon deity Yarak or Yarik, also called Jera, in the ancient Canaanite moon deity. He was known as the illuminator of the heavens, stars, and of the sickle, which is the crescent moon. All right, crescent moon, new moon. Jericho, which its real name is Yeraku. Yerak, remember, means bull. So Jericho, that's what it says in English. It actually means moon. So Jericho is Moon City. And they worshipped the moon. Okay? This was the main city for his worship and is named after him. So Yarek, moon deity, and Yeraku, the city dedicated to the moon deity. Yarek is also known as the provider of nightly dew. He was married to the goddess of fruit, Nikal, and would place dew on all the flowers and plants at night around Jericho to bring them to bloom. This brings it full circle to the previous, just one moment, to the previous definitions of Yabul and Yabul, being rain flowing and a produce of the earth. The 8th month was named for a moon deity. And as you can see here, in YHUHderek in yellow on the right side of the line here in the middle of the page, Yerak Bull in YHUHderek, each letter I turned into an English letter, Yarak Bull in backwards, and then I took Yarak Bull in forwards, and then I combined it with the sun deity, which is the second deity that the month is named after, Yarak Bull. So Yarhebul, right? Yarak Bull is the actual name of a Syrian sun deity whose name is Yarhebul. So Yarhebul is an Aramean sun deity worshipped in Syria, depicted with a star nimbus and styled the Lord of the Spring. Appears beside Baal. That should ring a bell right there. Who was co-supreme of Palmyra and Aglabo. We'll get to that one next. The moon god and one of the top Palmyrian gods. And I got that from information from virtualmuseumsyria.org. So we have two deities here for the month Yarak Bull, which is Bull month, right? From 1 Kings 6:38. These are two possible deities. Yarhebul fits close, but there's also Yarik, which is the moon deity. Next. So this is from the Palmyra, right? From the archaeology.culture.fr/Palmyra. I want to read the highlighted section under local gods. It says the supreme god was Baal, probably originally named Bol, B-O-L, tropical god of the oasis. He was surrounded by acolytes such as Yarebo, which is the sun deity, and Aglibo, the moon deity, and Malik Baal, which is the angel of Baal, and Bol Aster, which means the star of Baal. Other local gods continue to be worshipped, such as Arsu, a military god identified with the Greek god Ares. All right, so we got a whole plethora of deities, but they're all going back to one deity. And if you look to the left side here, I have Bol, which is actually bull, that equals Baal. The Strong's number is there. Baal is short for Baal, and you can look those Strong's numbers up, 1167 through 1168. So we are talking about Baal. Whether you call him Bull, Baal, Bol, we are talking about the same deity, which is a moon deity. Okay? So, the month, the 8th month, that is named for the bull month. That is not the name of the month Yahuwah gave it. Yahuwah gave it the 8th month. Bull month, or more properly, bull moon. Let me go back. Bull month, because that's what it says in scripture, bull month. But when you look up the Yahudith, or Hebrew, it is bull Yarak. And it's not bull month, it's bull moon. This is another instance. If you remember in part 1, I talked about how in the dictionary they changed Kadash to mean moon. Well, in this particular verse, they changed the word moon, Yarak, to mean month. And I spoke about that in part 1, saying that by changing both definitions, they can be interchanged. Go back and look at part 1, when I talked about how they made the changes in the lexicon, they meaning people who wanted to point out observation of the moon and worship of the moon. That it was changed, the definitions were changed because they wanted to be able to intermix the meaning. And here you have a case of that. So again, when you look at it in English, it will say bull month, but when you look at it in Yahudith or Hebrew, the words are actually bull moon. This is idolatry. They named the month, the 8th month in particular, on the calendar. They named it after a moon deity. I want to make that very, very clear. And whether you're talking about the moon deity of the Canaanites from the city of Jericho, or Yerahu, that was dedicated to their moon deity, or you're talking about Yerak Bull, which is the sun deity, or if you're talking about any one of these deities in this highlighted section, right? And I'm showing that it goes all back to Baal, right? Regardless, Bull, Baal, Baal, it goes back to the same deity. Now, let's get to Aglabo, because I said keep that in mind. Splitting of Yasharal and Jeroboam. So, at this point, we're going to talk about 1 Kings 12, 25 through 33. We're going to talk about verses 32 and 33 in particular. But Jeroboam has, the kingdom of Yasharal has split. You've got the 2.5 tribes that are considered the kingdom of Yehuda, and then you've got the other 10 tribes, which is considered the kingdom of Yasharal. So that's where we at. All right, verse 32. And Jeroboam ordained a feast in the 8th month. Again, we're talking about the 8th month here. So Yehuda has their celebration, remember, the moon month in the 8th month. Now we're talking about the kingdom of Yasharal. All right, and Jeroboam ordained a feast in the 8th month on the 15th day of the month, like unto the feast that is in Yehuda. And he offered upon the altar. So he did in Bethel, sacrificing unto calves he had made. And he placed in Bethel the priests of the high places which he had made. So he offered upon the altar, this is verse 33, which he made in Bethel the 15th day of the 8th month, even in the month that he devised in his own heart, and ordained a feast unto the children of Yasharal, and he offered upon the altar and burned incense. So let me tell you a little bit about the verses previous to 32 and 33. So Jeroboam, who's now the king of the kingdom of Yasharal, he says, well, Yehuda has this feast in the 8th month, and they're going to want to go to Yehuda. He's talking about the people of the kingdom of Yasharal. They're going to go to the kingdom of Yehuda to celebrate this false feast. Keep in mind that Yahuwah's feasts culminate in the 7th month. There are no feasts of Yahuwah in the 8th month. No feasts of Yahuwah in the 8th month. Okay, so he said, well, if the people go back to Yehuda and celebrate this false feast, then they'll desire to go back into the kingdom, be a part of the kingdom of Yehuda, and I won't be the king. There won't be a kingdom of Yasharal. So he devises a feast that is like Yehuda's feast, celebrated in the same month. Now, it doesn't say what day that the feast is celebrated in the kingdom of Yehuda, but they're both in the 8th month. They're both in the bull moon month. Let's keep that straight, right? So in Yehuda, it's the bull moon month. In kingdom of Yasharal, it's the calves. So Yasharal has been here before. Number one, as soon as they came out of ancient Yasharal, they made calves to worship. Well, Jeroboam is doing the same thing. Now, the interesting thing about worshiping the calves is that the Yehudic word for calves is Galia, right? And you can find that here underneath the picture of the calf, H5695. Now, if you remember, I said keep in mind that Palmyrean deity Baal, which is calf of Baal, right? All right, so Galia means calves, 1 Kings 12:32. I put here the arrows pointing to each letter that goes to Aglabo. Aglabo means calf of Baal or bowl, right? We're talking about calves here. We're talking about the calf. So Yehuda celebrated the moon of Baal, Baal, right? And Yehuda celebrated the calf of Baal, Baal. And he made the king Jeroboam make sacrifices to this. So they're both worshiping the same deity. All right. So we have two confirmations of Baal worship, both from the split kingdoms of Yasharal. Calf worship goes all the way back to Aaron, who made the golden calf at Mount Sinai. Now, this picture here, this is the moon deity Aglibol, right? 2nd century picture, Syrian moon deity, which means calf of Baal. Now, what's interesting behind him, besides the little, his little highlight disc, is that he has a crescent moon behind his head, which is the same, as you can see this picture in a corner, same as the new moon. So new moon worship is not new. It's old and it's ancient. It goes back to the same deity. And on a national scale, it was introduced by King Solomon, but they continued it. All right. So here, Yehuda and Yasharal, same type of idolatry. They celebrated idolatrous feast in the 8th month, when Yahuwah's feast culminated by the 7th month. Both celebrated Baal. Both were influenced by Syrian deities, possibly through the association with King Kiram, who was the king of Tyre, who was Solomon's, King Shaluma, his best friend. Okay? Which is in Syria, which is the deities are Palmyre, which is in Syria. These are all deities. Now, in ancient times, it was called the Temple of Baal, but it's still synonymous. Baal, B-E-L, but it's still synonymous with the Temple of Baal, B-A-A-L, right? That's just changing the vowels, pretty much, right? So the same temple gets converted into a temple for the Trinity, but it's all still Baal. Agli, Baal, Yarek, Baal, and Baal. So it starts out with one temple in ancient times, but in early AD, around 200 AD, it gets converted into like 3 deities, but still the same essential deity. Now, to the left here, I have a picture. This is actually in the side of Mount Sinai, which is in Arabia. It's an actual carving of a cow with two calves underneath her. And if you, when Aaron made the golden calves, they believe that this is what was used to pour the gold over. So this was carved into the side of the rock. Aaron melted down the gold that was offered by Yasharal at that time. He poured the gold over this rock as to use as a mold, right? And he would have had to pour the mold twice to make two halves and put them together as a whole. And if you read what Aaron says once he completes the golden calf, remember the calf, Baal's calf, when he says, Yasharal, these are your gods. And the reason why is because you can see the picture underneath the main cow. There's two smaller calf heads. I hope you can see that within the circle of the picture. So, we know that worshiping the moon happened in ancient times. I wanted to throw in that battling the moon is also old, just as old as moon worship. Battling moon worship is just as old and something that still is continuing unto this day. So 2 Kings 23:5, combating the worship of the moon. And he, King Josiah, put down the idolatrous priests whom the kings of Yehudah had ordained to burn incense in high places in the cities of Yehudah and in the places around about Jerusalem. Them also that burned incense unto Baal, to the sun, and to the moon, and to the planets, and to all the host of heaven. So, again, King Josiah put down all of those priests, meaning he killed them. And he also killed those who worship. When you burn an incense and praying, you straight up worshiping, right? Burning incense is to bring up the smell up into your deity so that they smell your prayers, your sacrifice, and they receive them. That's why, in like manner, when sacrifices were done to Yahuwah, it says he wants that done for us, the smell of a sweet savor. That's what it says in the KJV version. At any rate, he wants to smell a sweet savor of the sacrifice. So when you burn the incense, you're doing the same thing. Now, special note here, the word planets. I know a lot of people get excited about the word planets because they think, oh yeah, planets, as in how we believe planets today. There are no planets, as in other worlds that can be, that you can go to and land on, like Earth. There are no planets in that manner. Planets, when you look up the etymology, it means wandering stars. So planets in this verse is Mazaluth, which I have here at the bottom, H4208. That's for all of them. Mazaluth means a group. Mazal is one. All right, so planets in this verse means the 12 zodiac signs, or constellations, meaning star, stellar, meaning star. Each individual zodiac sign is called Mazel. So, when you hear people today say Mazel Tov, it doesn't mean congratulations or it doesn't mean cheers. It literally means may the stars line up for good luck. Mazel Tov. Tov is the word tube with valve pointing, meaning good. So, Mazel meaning zodiac sign, good sign, good zodiac sign. It doesn't mean cheers. It doesn't mean congratulations. It means may the stars line up for good fortune. Mazel tov. Just wanted to share that interesting bit. So we talked about ancient worship in the past. We talked about all the deities when it goes back to really one deity. And we talked about how when the kingdom split, they continued to be idolatrous. Yehuda had the bull moon. The kingdom of Yasharal had the calf of Baal, right? We showed that King Josiah, even way back then, fought moon worship and other types of worship. And now we are talking about moon worship today. So, Kiddush Levana or Birkat Levana, worship or blessing the moon in modern times. It's also known as the sanctification of the moon. That means to make it holy, to make it Kiddush. Or the Kiddush Levana is a prayer and dance ceremony that takes place once a month. The ceremony occurs at night, where the moon can be seen between the 3rd and 15th day of the Jewish calendar month, after a Shabbat. The ritual is where men get dressed up in fine clothing and gather together after a synagogue. They face toward the east and look up to the moon and recite 9 paragraphs coupled with dance steps. The paragraphs are 4 psalms, 1 quote from the Song of Songs, and 1 quote from the Talmud. The Talmud reference sanctifies the moon or makes it holy. The other 3 paragraphs are sympathetic magic incantations. I'll repeat. The other 3 paragraphs are sympathetic magic incantations that is said to ensure the return of the waxing moon. The 3 paragraphs contain 7 sentences that are said 3 times each while performing dance moves of putting the feet together, lifting of the heels 3 times, and standing on their toes. The purpose is to get God, through magic, to keep demons away from Jewish people and to bring the moon back to its full glowing glory. Now this is today. If you're Jewish and you practice this, is straight up moon worship. I did not put in the 7 sentences on purpose because I'm not trying to promote any type of magic ceremony. That can be looked up if you're curious, but I won't put it in there. So, in conclusion, ancient Yasharal was rife with idolatry of all kinds of false deities. Shaluma introduced idolatry on a national level. The 8th month was named after the Canaanite moon deity Yarek, or Yarek Baal, which is the Syrian moon deity. Idolatry continued when Yasharal broke into 2 kingdoms. Under Jeroboam, Yasharal also had a feast in the month of Baal, which is really the moon of Baal. He made a calf, which is Agli, worshipped in a national feast. Agli Baal, calf of Baal, is a Syrian moon deity. In 2 Kings 23:5, it showed that the moon was worshipped as King Josiah destroyed all idols, altars, and high places. Lastly, we show that the moon is still worshipped in modern times through the sanctification of the moon ceremony done each and every month. To sanctify means to make holy or Kiddush. The blessing involves using magic incantations to bring the moon back to its full illumination. So I hope that this section of moon worship and examining the moon, that I was able to bring it throughout time up into the modern day and to show what deity is actually being worshipped, that the moon has been worshipped all throughout Yasharal, and that you should not do it. I prefaced all of this information with how Yahuwah feels about worshiping the moon. But it's still a stumbling block to Yasharal yesterday, in the recent past, and even today. And I'm going to include a lunar calendar in the worship and veneration of the moon, because there's nothing that Yahweh says, and I repeat, there is nothing that Yahweh says that says we are to observe the moon with regard to his calendar and with regard to his feasts. If you can find where Yahweh says, emphasis on Yahweh says, to follow the moon, then follow it. But if you cannot find a verse, which I know there is none, where Yahweh says to follow the moon, then you should not be following the moon for calculation of the calendar or the calculation of a feast. That was done by men, and it's been propagated through time by evil spirits, because men die off, but evil spirits don't. I'd like to thank you today for watching this. I pray that this gets through to you. I pray that Yahweh puts it on your heart to listen and to follow and to look through scripture and to pray to him to get your final answer. Here's the source and resources that I use to compile this. And I pray that Yahweh continues to cover you and your family, to protect you from all sorts of evil and harm, to elongate your days, and to provide the provision that you need to continue to live healthy and to be safe. Thank you. Shalom.